So I hope y'all can see me. I don't know what's going on. I even took the suction cup down. It still seems shaky to me, and maybe my truck is doing more shaking. It was kind of funky the other day too. It did some kind of sluggish stuff. Yeah, I'll deal with it later. Hold on, y'all. Let me see if I can get this light. That helps. It helped a little bit. So, I think it's Grind Mode J. Grind Mode J. Another congratulations. I guess you're with Prime, and Prime, I've heard, is a phenomenal company. I understand you passed your test. I actually want to kind of talk about it. So y'all got me talking about stuff and taking me back to, man, I went to trucking school in 2009. And Grind Mode J, I watched your video and was just sitting there laughing my ass off, even though you didn't mean to be funny. But you were teasing us when you act like you didn't pass. But I remember, and this is for my newbies, when you go to test out, so people new to trucking, you coming into trucking, like I said, I know that I get a lot of newbies because I get questions, especially from my earlier videos when I talked about trucking school. So if you go back to like my videos back from 2009, and I think I was showing you my trucking school and backing and all that stuff, and I did a little kind of a ode to Trucker 47 because she really inspired me, Brenda. Again, we didn't have a lot of drivers back then doing as much as you see on YouTube now, but you had me, I decided I can't sleep right now. My load doesn't pick up. Supposedly, let's pray this load tomorrow is good, y'all. The Las Vegas load, I'm supposed to pick up at 5. I'm going to call them first thing in the morning, or 5 p.m. at night, 1700. I'm going to call their ass first thing in the morning, though, because I don't trust my company, and make sure the load is, and see if it's ready earlier. They talking about pick up at the exact time. I'm going to call them people, see if that damn load is ready, and go get it. Also to make sure the time is correct. So I saw your video and I was kind of laughing to myself because I started thinking about when I very first got into trucking. So I want to kind of tell my trucking story. I had been wanting to come into trucking, man, I had talked about it in my 20s. And a friend of mine, the one I told you, Pete in the Cup, while he was driving, his father was a trucker. He drove dairy pretty much from here in Arizona, I think, to Mexico. I don't know if he went into Mexico or to the border of Mexico, but he drove milk. And his father was making, with 2 trucks, he had one he owned, he had 2 trucks he owned, and I think he had another driver driving for him, and he worked for the dairy company out here driving milk down to the border. And I don't know if he went in, again, I don't know if he went into Mexico, I don't know all the details, but he was making over $100,000 a year back in my 20s. They had like a fat crib up north and or up south of here in Tempe area, in kind of an elite community. And I knew of him in high school. He was like this best friend buddy, my best male friend at the time. I've lost contact with him because his life went a whole different route. But his father was making very good money. He's doing quite well. He kind of talked me out of it because he talked about, at the time, and I was not nearly, I was a quarter of my size then, younger days. And he talked me out of it because of all the strenuous work and, you know, truck stop stuff. And I didn't go into it, and I didn't pursue it. And I always believe things happen for a reason, so the timing wasn't there. He then, he left and went away. I had things happen, and in my 40s, in my 30s, I talked about it because I was working in the brokerage industry. We were having layoffs due to the stock market, the tech market crash. I never got laid off, but I always talked about coming into trucking. So then in my 40s, when my time ended with my telecommunication company, I was in a supervisor position. I just felt like no time like the present, and I was in my early 40s. So I went to trucking school in 2009. I can't remember how old I was. I'm 49 now. It's 2017. I don't know. I was in my early 40s, so 41, 42 probably. Something like that. And so I went to trucking school. For me, it was a good experience because I had only done business, and I always had, even in high school, I had a very good job. I worked for the city of Tempe in an office. So what you would Like that guy told my dad on the railroad, why do you want this cushy job? So sorry guys, I couldn't sleep, now I'm yawning. Go figure. So I didn't really do it. And so then when I went to trucking school, you have the challenge, especially being female. I'm only like 5'2", 5'3" in height. You have this massive piece of equipment. I got to climb up on the back. I got like a really big bruise from first time trying to climb up on the catwalk on the back to get the hoses and stuff. So you learn how to manipulate the equipment. Sometimes you got to fall before you got to crawl before you walk. I felt defeated at times. Thank you, Slim Kim, because there was times she called me and she laughed because she went through the experiences that I felt as a female in the industry. And she's a taller lady than me. I think Kim's got to be. I think Kim, you're like 5'10", 5'11", something like that. You're a tall sister. And so, even though she had a longer stature, she's still a female, not the same muscular as men, and still having to overcome in a male-dominated industry with equipment that was designed for men. And we're finding trucks like Freightliners, Volvos. Those trucks are more designed for us. Even Bill said those trucks fit a woman's stature a lot better than your Peterbilts. I think the KWs I think coming now into it more, but they fit more of somebody who's a smaller stature like me. Sorry. But when I went to go do my testing, so I felt defeated. I did. And it was funny. This Grandma J, you had me cracking up where you're talking about how the hell did I miss this turn on the freeway? Something about the backing and things that you really mess up because you were so... I hate test taking. I hate any kind of test taking, whether it's a driving test or a written test. I'm one of those people, I just hate tests. It'd be better to tell me, oh, we're just practicing, and then I do well, because practice is nothing, but the test is what I get anxiety behind it. So, although when I tested out here where I'm at now, I was just as calm. I was like, okay, and I just drove it. I think I just kind of took the attitude of, I've done this before, so I took a more laid-back approach to this go round. Anyway, I turned around and I went to, what was the name of it? When I was at AIT, we did the test. Now, weirdly enough, originally I had the obviously straight back is easy, and I had originally had the parallel back down, but something clicked when I figured out the blind side back. And then for whatever reason, my parallel back was off. I couldn't get it. So I knew when I found out how the point system worked for the testing, I decided to take my hit on parallel because I knew I just was not good at it. For whatever reason, I couldn't get it. And so I took the hit, the failed hit or 3-point hit or whatever it is on the parallel. Honestly, I think I have parallel parked the truck between 2010 and now maybe 3 times. You rarely have to parallel park a truck. The places where you are going to have to most likely parallel park are up on the East Coast. I'll be honest, or at a shipper's yard where they have it all jacked up and you have to parallel park a trailer between 2 trailers. That's about the only time, and I've only did that once for the company I'm with back in 2010, delivering some damn batteries. Drop and hook. I dropped trailer hook to an empty, and where they had it, I had to parallel park the trailer in between 2 trailers. That was it. I've never had to parallel park, and by the time you get good enough with your close quarter packing, parallel parking is not all that difficult, because really it's about putting it in between lines or in between a space. Once you can, if you can close quarter back, you should be able to parallel back. And even though blindside is a pain in the butt for most people, you should be able to blindside. I can blindside now. I was much better in 2010. I just had a flow. But I can blindside now without getting out my truck. The way I blindside now is I actually use the passenger seat window and mirror. And I pretty much blindside. And there's a way I angle my truck slowly to move the head over to look and see how close I am to the vehicle on the blind side. And then I make my adjustments accordingly. But most of your experience is going to be on the road. And I'm going to tell you what the testers are really looking for. Granted, it's a point-based system. They're looking how you handle your mistakes. Because out here on the road as truckers, that's what you're going to really learn from. You're going to learn from your F-ups. I'm sorry, that's what you're going to learn from. So the fact that you missed that situation on the freeway, and I like the fact you're hard on yourself, that is what's going to make you a very good driver, because you're going to be like me and you're going to be like, I won't do that again. I bet you'll be right the next time. The same way for me, as soon as I could get my close quarter backing down, I knew that my next goal was to make sure my blindside backing was back in order. Will I say I'm as good as I was in 2010? No. Will I say I'll be there? Absolutely. Can I close quarterback my behind off now? Absolutely. Matter of fact, when I tested out to do my close quarterback, it was smooth. That's why they gave me virtually a new truck. They were telling everybody up in the terminal in Europa, all these kids that are testing out, we ain't got no trucks. We ain't got no trucks. We ain't got no trucks. I went and talked to when they interviewed me for the reefer division, he said, oh, I'm gonna release a truck from the G-Status. G-Status had a whole lot of damn trucks up there in California. But they sending these babies out to go get these old ass trucks with all these miles because they're new and they didn't want them screwing up their stuff. I already knew what the issue was. Let me try something because this is bugging me. Hold on, y'all. See if that'll make it better. I don't know why, it just doesn't look good to me. But who knows? Anyway, happy that you passed. For those of you going to test, you may not pass everything. Don't get caught up in that. The same way I talk about doing your test taking for your CDLs. Do the online practice exams. Most of the freaking questions on the online practice exams, which are free, you do not have to pay for them. Most of them are free. This is going to be the same exact question on the test. I'm telling you, there are exact questions on the practice exams that you find on here. And I put a link for, I think it was another Shannon. I don't know how you're doing. I hope you passed your CDL stuff. It was another, I think the last name was Shannon. Crystal Shannon or something like that. Hope you passed your test. But those practice tests, you just keep taking them. Air brakes, hazmat, and get all your endorsements. Don't just get your CDL Class A. The first girl that I came back to, the one who liked to watch TV while she was driving, when I came back here to do my refresher, that girl only had her Class A. She didn't have any of her endorsements. So she wanted to move on and try to get something closer to home, local, and work for other companies. She's having a hard time because a lot of companies wouldn't look at her because she didn't have any other endorsements. She just had a basic Class A. That's it. She had her TWIC card because she would do container, but she didn't have any of her other. And she's like, well, I'm not that smart. Dude, did you pass the CDL test? Let me explain something, people. Sometimes we are what we say. If we don't, we have to be real careful at how we look at ourselves. And it's funny because that's one of the things that bothers me, because companies treat truckers like they're all dumb because that's how you carry yourself. To operate this vehicle and all the rules and regulations, you cannot be that dumb. You just can't. So if you could pass the regular air brake test and the test to pass this and drive this truck, then you should be able to get your tankers, your triples and doubles, your hazmat. You should be able to get all of that. Only way you can't get your hazmat is if you have some kind of legal criminal issue. And even then, try, because all they can do is say no. You know, or if there is an issue, see what you can do to get it cleared up. Hazmat can make you some damn money. The first thing the headhunter asked me, do you have your hazardous material endorsements? Ma'am, I got all my damn endorsements except passenger. And I could kick myself because my trucking school, $10, I could have had my passenger. Now I would have to go work for a company and come test out in a bus in order to get my passenger endorsement, or probably go to some other CDL school where they could sign off on passenger endorsement for me. That's is what it is. And I could have got that done with my damn trucking. They would have done it with trucking because they do a lot of training for the bus system. And a bus driver, just so you know, you go out here for 6 months to a year, you don't like it, You can go become a bus driver. You don't start out with a lot of money like you do in trucking, but once you get in the door, you can make upward of $100,000 as a bus driver, 50 to 100 grand. Good money, and most bus drivers are union. Yes, and they have a good retirement plan. Because that was something I was looking at doing, but I really didn't know if I wanted to be on a city bus. It can be a dangerous job because buses, they do go in areas. They have a unique client base. It can be dangerous because you do get some nutty boxes on the bus, but it also can be very good money. And as you get seniority, you can choose being in better areas of town instead of being probably in the hood areas where you're going to start out at, because most people want to be out of the bad areas. But that's something to look at. There's a lot of areas in transportation. Like my father was talking about the railroad. Railroad pays good money, but again, you heard him telling you, you know, if you go back to my railroad video, you're going to see him talking. He told you about people who lost limbs, legs, and lives. So trucking is not easy. It's one of the top dangerous jobs. But if you get good at it, hopefully you go home every day. You're going to enjoy what you do. You're going to see stuff you've never seen. So for those of you coming into this industry, we see everything. And, you know, I worked in the office. I can't, like I said, unless health issues, I love it. And when I retire, I really want to have an RV so that I can travel some more. There's areas of this country that I would love to see. And trucks sometimes go places no one else goes. There's a park that was in Minnesota. I took this highway that went around this mountain, streams, rivers, lakes. Ended up on the backside of something. In Nevada, I ended up near some Air Force with these big lakes. I don't know where it was. I remember it in 2010. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous drive. That's when I was more scary. Just gorgeous drive. You are going to see some amazing things. So congratulations to you, Grand Moche. Congratulations to Renard Austin. You guys, once you guys get done, I don't know, Grand Moche, I don't know if you're going right onto your truck, because I know Prime has phases, like these little phases you go through, and then you test out, and then you get your own truck. I don't know where you're at in the phase. I think they have an amazing training program from what I'm hearing. As far as Renard, I don't know. I think you're going to have to go out like I did, what they call an externship with some major carrier after you get your CDL. So what I will tell you is, once you get everything, once you get in your own truck, enjoy your drive. Be conscientious of what you're driving, what you're hauling, how you're driving it. But enjoy the drive. My training school instructor, because when you first come out, you're like nervous. You're like this, you know. And my trucking school instructor, we call Mr. Reese, or the sergeant. Mr. Reese used to say, sit on that stool and kick back and enjoy your drive. I didn't understand that until now. So I'm not going to say you do that the first year. First year, you're going to see stuff and be pretty amazed by it. But, I mean, like if you drive Yosemite, oh my God, gorgeous. When you go up to the Pacific Northwest, beautiful. East Coast is gorgeous. I just hate when I have to drop loads there because it's so tight as hell and the traffic. Los Angeles, California is pretty too. Well, I like northern better than southern. But, again, it's just, I don't like California because of all the stuff against truckers. But it's actually a beautiful state. Especially, like I said, I love Northern California. My home state of Arizona, gorgeous. Utah is another pretty state. Going the back end of Utah, if you do it, most people don't do it anymore because it's a pain in the butt going through Kanab. Although if you do, you're looking at the back end of the Grand Canyon. You know, there's some beautiful, beautiful stuff. And you're driving that in a truck. You're sitting high up. You see a lot. Going by St. Louis, I got pictures of the St. Louis Arch when I was stuck on the freeway. I took the phone because we were stuck. You're always stuck right before you go over, depending on the time of day. Some idiot gets into an accident. Tennessee, the Smokies. Going over the Sisters. Where's Sisters at? Is that in Wyoming, the Sisters? I can't remember. They call them Sisters. They're like two big eels. Dropping down into Albuquerque from that mountain you come out of. First time, if you haven't seen snow. My first time ever seeing snow was here in my home state, up in Flag. and then going into places like Chicago and really seeing snow and feeling the Hawk. You're going to have some experiences, and you get to step outside of what our normal is. And for a lot of us, you don't see beyond your neighborhood, sometimes your city. And now you get to experience all of the United States, and you get to see what's beautiful. You also get to see the possibility of where you can go. Trucker Bill grew up in Oakland, California. He said when he got out the military, he went back for a little bit. He was more concerned about being alive as a black male in a bad climate, because I think they had a big gang issue back when he was growing up. That's when the gangs really were clicking off. And he ended up in trucking. And when his first ride was up into Portland, he knew that's where he wanted to go. So he ended up in the Pacific Northwest. Bill loves Pacific Northwest. 2 states, Oregon, Washington. That's it. Nothing else. He was in Colorado for a little bit because his wife, they were given a home that was his wife's mother's home. And so they moved to Colorado, but Bill could not wait to get back up to the Pacific Northwest. So once they were able to get rid of the house, they went right back up. Like I said, you'll even see the possibilities of where you want to live. I like driving the Texas area, so I'm kind of looking at that. Also, I've been there because of my age now, and I know the property is really inexpensive, so I could buy a significant amount of property, put a nice little crib on it, and live relatively on the cheap. And that would prepare me for retirement, and also possibly give me the option, God willing, to buy myself a good truck and an Airstream trailer and be able to travel around the U.S. as I would like to do in my retirement days. I have a friend who's a flight attendant who does international flights. I got a couple of countries I want to go to, and I'll probably do that. I got some cruises I want to take. And those are some of the dreams that I have, God willing, before my casket call. So you get to really, and I hate to be that real, but because I'm a lot older than probably you guys are, you get to fill those gaps in. Enjoy this journey. You can do well in trucking. Congrats to both you guys. Peace out.